The time is 4:30 p.m. The Pelican Rapids City Council meeting of 27 August 2024 is called to order. I ask those in our council chambers, if you have not signed the clipboard by the back door, if you would do so before you leave this evening. Ask everybody to please put their phones on vibrate. Roll call of members. Danielle?
Councilmember Steve Strand.
Here.
Councilmember Kevin Ballard.
Here.
Councilmember Kurt Markgraf.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Costa.
Here.
And Mayor Brent Frazier.
Here. I want to welcome each and every one of you here in our council chambers this evening, also those joining us by Zoom. Remember, our city council meetings are on the City of Pelican Rapids YouTube channel and also on channel 14 on Wednesday evenings. Just a few announcements for the next couple of weeks. Thursday, August 29th, conversations with the mayor at the library. Monday, September 2nd is Labor Day. All city offices are closed, and our next city council meeting will be held September 10th, 4:30 p.m. here in the City Council chambers. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? If we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 2 is citizens' comments. Anyone here in our audience for citizens' comments if you are not on the agenda? Anyone here for citizens' comments? Okay, seeing none. Move on to item number 3, additions, deletions to the agenda. I have one change. Item number 11, the language should read Highway 59 pedestrian underpass. Highway 59 pedestrian underpass. Any other additions, deletions, corrections?
I'll move the agenda. Second.
Motion second, discussion, discussion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Item number 4, approval of consent agenda, which I'll read. Item number 4A is approval of council minutes from July 30th, 2024. 4B is approval of accounts payable listing. 4C, certify unpaid utility bills to property taxes. The first one is parcels 76000220013006, amount due of $153.77. The second one is parcel 760099013700, and the amount due is $88.53. Item number 4D1 is utility report from June 2024 in the packet. Item 4D2 is police report in the packet. Item 4D3 is liquor store report, which is in the packet. And item 4E is Minnesota Legislator of Distinction. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, discussion, discussion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Let's jump all the way down to item number 14, wetland delineation. And we have Mr. Bob Schliemann here from Apex Engineering, and there's 3 different items he's going to talk about. Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, staff. Yeah, there's 3 areas in the city of Pelican Rapids where there's wetlands currently. In all 3 of these areas, it's my understanding that there's the possibility of making improvements. One of those areas is there's some lots right now on Ridgecrest Drive that are not developed. There's a wetland area adjacent to those lots. There's also some lots, possible lots in the southwest part of town. It's actually east of Old Fergus Road. The city owns some property along Old Fergus Road where there's utilities there right now. If somebody did want to develop that area, if the city wanted to split those into lots and have those developed, that would be a possibility. There's wetlands adjacent to that area. And then also Sharon Park. The city's looking at making some improvements to the campground area of Sharon Park. And again, all these areas that I just talked about, there's wetlands adjacent to them, or in the case of Sharon Park, there's actually the Pelican River. And it's my understanding that the city is interested in having somebody come out and actually delineating those wetland areas to make sure that we know where those boundaries are. And then if somebody does decide to actually develop those areas, that we don't disturb anything that we shouldn't be. So we don't have any official quotes at this time, but to have somebody come in and do the delineation of the wetlands within all 3 of those areas, we're thinking probably around that $5,000 mark. So just wanted to get some feedback from the council on whether or not you would like to move forward with having us go out and get some quotes for having those services completed for those areas.
Questions from the council?
I think it's a good idea. I move to approve the estimate.
Moving forward with the project? Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion second. Discussion? Discussion? Discussion?
How long do you think that'll take?
That's a very good question. I guess if we I'm hoping we can get that done yet this fall here. We'll reach out here in the near future and see what kind of timeline and numbers we can get from some folks that provide those services. But we're hoping to get them done yet this fall, but no guarantees on that.
Have you had any experience with this person who does this?
Well, yeah, we have. We've got a few different people that we've worked with in the past that provide these services. We actually provide these services in-house. Whether or not we do it using our forces or hire somebody else, our forces are out in North Dakota, to be full disclosure, so whether or not it makes sense to bring those folks over and have them do it, or if it makes sense to have somebody closer do it, we'll get some numbers put together and do whatever in the best interest of the city. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Then let's go to item number 11, Highway 59 pedestrian underpass.
Yeah, so I guess there's been some discussion about making some pedestrian improvements once the project along the Highway 59 corridor that we're working on right now gets completed south of there. So it's our understanding that MnDOT is looking at reconstructing Highway 59 from 5th Avenue South, which is on the south side of the high school, all the way down to Interstate 94 near Fergus Falls. There's been some discussion about the amount of pedestrian traffic, mainly student pedestrian traffic, in that 59 corridor from the high school to the elementary school. Given the location of the high school being on the west side of 59, the elementary school is on the east side, a few blocks south. And then the city's or school's main athletic complex is also on the east side, with all of your track and field facilities, baseball, softball, tennis, you name it, it's pretty much down there except for probably soccer. We've met a couple of times with MnDOT staff, West Central staff, school staff, city staff on site. I think the last 2 Fridays we actually met out there and had a meeting. And what's being discussed right now is to try to hopefully improve safety for that area right there between the schools, is the possibility of putting a pedestrian underpass beneath Highway 59. Drafted a letter today, got it to Lance, to MnDOT, asking for their support on a couple of different fronts. Number one, if this project moves ahead, there's likely going to be some financial obligation by either the city or the school for this project. We're looking to hopefully go out and apply for some grant dollars like we did for the project that's being done right now. And if we're successful, hopefully we can get most of it paid for. So we're asking for support from MnDOT on that front, providing a letter of support when we apply for those grant funds. The second thing is possibly providing some design assistance for that project. Don't know exactly whether or not MnDOT's willing to provide that service or not, but at the meeting on Friday, there was MnDOT staff there. We talked about it briefly. And then in the draft letter that I provided to Lance, we put in there that the city and or school is requesting support in regard to design for that project. Because in my opinion, it just makes sense since MnDOT has all the other topo survey information, the model, the drawing in CAD, MicroStation, whatever they choose to use. If they could just provide the design services for the underpass, it'd be the simplest, most straightforward and economical. So whether or not they're going to do that is to be seen, but I guess we just wanted to bring the overall project up to the city council this evening, make you aware of it, and just get some feedback or thoughts on the overall concept.
Bob, we're looking at the year 2028 on that project, correct?
That is correct. So originally, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it was originally slated for 2026, but we reached out to MnDOT recently, and now they're thinking 2028. And if we want to get in line for some of this funding, specifically the Transportation Alternatives funding, which we actually secured for the project we're working on right now, once you apply for that money and get it, you actually don't receive it until 4 years out because it's federal funding. So, again, just wanted to come this evening, introduce the project to the City Council, get any feedback or thoughts on it. Some of these grant application deadlines are coming up here this fall or else early in 2025. So that may seem like a little bit of time, but it's amazing how soon it'll be here. So.
And the main caveat behind this is the safety issue between the schools.
Absolutely. Yep. Just I think through the downtown area of Highway 59, I think you're looking at about 7,800 cars on average per day, or I should say vehicles. A lot of that is truck traffic, supporting agricultural, other industry, commercial activities through the upper Midwest and state of Minnesota. So there's a lot of traffic through there, a lot of truck traffic. Right now, if you go through there in the morning, which I do quite a bit, certain times of the year it's dark. You know, the city has police vehicles out there, sometimes with lights on to make people aware, slow down, and things like that. So it's an area of concern, definitely.
This evening, we also have Russ Floberg and Emma Olson here for another line item, but either of you have a comment on this agenda item?
I don't.
Okay.
No, not at the
Okay.
moment.
Chief, do you have anything to add? Brian?
Bob did well.
I have a question.
Yes.
Where would it be located? What are you thinking?
Very good question. When we were out there last couple of weeks, originally we thought between 5th and 6th, but as we talk about it more, we think if possible, if it would work, to actually put it south of 7th, because 7th is basically right across from the entrance to the elementary school. And if we can get those kids to be able to get under Highway 59 without having to cross that entrance to the elementary school, because there's a lot of traffic that comes in and out of that, well, mainly in there, it's a one-way, but all your bus traffic comes in there, you know, teachers come through there, parents come through there. So there's a lot of logistics that have to take place yet to see if, number one, it actually will work, and if it will work, where's the best place to put it. But from what we discussed last week, if it works, we thought the best place would be, again, just south of the entrance to the elementary school.
Lance, can you, so, where do they go after they get underneath 59?
Again, very good question, a lot of logistics. What we were thinking there is if we could install a sidewalk on the west side of 59 from 5th to that point, preference would be off the edge of the road, and then somehow, you know, connect to the existing trails that are on the west side as you go south there, Kevin. And again, we haven't looked into the specifics or, you know, geometrics and things like that. I think the conversation that we had with MnDOT staff last Friday was if they could go back, they've done a bunch of survey work out there, and just take a look at whether or not it would be possible. That's the first question.
MnDOT was already planning on a sidewalk on that side of the road as part of that project.
Shared use path like downtown.
And that just absolutely makes no sense to me. I mean, the grading on that west side, if you're gonna try to build that up to, I mean, I have no idea how you would make a sidewalk there. So I don't understand why the sidewalk on the east side of the road, either way, they're gonna have to cross a street, correct? Eventually?
No, with this,
Fifth Avenue, they're gonna have to cross, right?
well, with this underpass, the
They'll
theory
cross
is
59.
they would cross underneath 59.
Right, but if they just go up the east side of 59 on that bike track or the sidewalk that's already there,
Yeah, right now.
cross Fifth Avenue, which they're gonna have to do anyway, some point,
Well,
unless we're gonna put an underpass under Fifth Avenue also into the school.
the thought process was we would install a sidewalk along here, and then the underpass would be down here, so they would not actually have to cross 59, they would go under 59
That's people's yards.
to get up here. We discussed all that, very good points. I mean, there would possibly have to be some property acquired. We don't know again, we don't know the specifics, but this is just a conceptual thing right now that we're bringing to you folks for discussion purposes.
I think with the cost involved in all of that, if you go north on First Street by the ambulance garage, they have a stop sign that glows in the dark at night. I mean, that thing blinks constantly. Every time I come up the street to go home, I think there's Todd and his group up there causing a ruckus. But that's a lot of money. When you start putting in an underpass and sidewalks and acquiring property, when we have a sidewalk already that goes to the same place that we're sending them, when we put those beacon signs up there at the crosswalk that already exists to get them to the same place that we're going to try to get them.
Well, Bob is just looking for some direction, if he could seek this out. That's not saying we're going to do it, but just see what the cost would be.
Yeah, and again,
I think that's a lot of money.
Yep.
But we don't know what the money is. If we can get grant money, we don't know what the cost is.
You know what grant, yeah, like we're gonna have our pool paid for by the first grant. Oh, wait, we're not gonna do that. You can't count on grants, and you
No, I
can't,
know you can, but we don't know what the amount is.
it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, it matters.
There's still a lot of money involved. It doesn't matter if it's.
But we don't know what that.
If a grant money, we pay for that. It doesn't matter if it comes from the state or it comes from our back pocket.
yeah.
We're taxpayers. We pay for it. Somebody pays
We
for it.
don't know the number at this point.
And if you're gonna ask the guy in that corner to give up a chunk of his property for a sidewalk, I would have a problem with that. If that was me being asked to give up a quarter acre of my yard for a sidewalk. And if you've looked at that, once you acquire it, you've got to fill all that in with dirt, because that is not road, I mean, that's a steep grade there.
Yep, and the reason that we're looking at it right now is if anything was ever to get done of the nature of project that we're talking about, now would be the time to do it while they're actually reconstructing this section of highway. Because there would likely, let's say, possibly be extra material available. To do it in the future would be a lot more expensive, a lot tougher. So now is the time to do it, and maybe you're not interested. I'm just here to bring it up to you folks and ask for
Get
feedback.
on that slippery slope of, well, if we're gonna do it, now is the time. If you want the kids to be truly safe, and you're gonna cut them on an underpass, you cut them straight through and bring them over to First Street southwest, and then head them up to the school. Then you get away from 59 altogether. If we're really talking safety for our kids. But I'm so sick of making these decisions of, if we don't do it now, it'll never be cheaper. If we don't do it now, now's the time it's all tore up. It's still money that we have to pay. And yeah, we can do grants, sure, maybe, possibly. Maybe not, probably not. Somebody's gonna have to pay for
But
it.
I guess what I'm looking at, let's get the numbers before we say yes or no. Then we can decide.
Kevin, where would you put it? Show me, or
Where would I put what?
where would you put the tunnel?
Well, if they're gonna do an underpass right by south of 7th, so that would be right there. Bring them up that, have the sidewalk go all the way to First Street, right behind it. First Street's up, there you go, and send them north, because now they're off of 59 completely.
How many would use it?
How many are gonna use the other one?
A lot more than would use that that's further away.
You're just,
Well, this is the reason why we're bringing it up, so if the council's not for it, we can drop it right now and we're done.
if you really wanna get into it, I've worked at venues that have underpasses of 59, and that underpass becomes filled with graffiti, filled with all sorts of issues that you wanna talk about.
That's why we brought the chief of police into the discussion.
Yeah, and at those underpasses at the other venue I've worked, they've had state troopers standing right there, and it doesn't matter. So,
So we talked about how we've already spent a lot of money on this crossing right here, just in this last project, which has made it a much safer crossing already. So that's, I mean, that's a point there, and it is a lot of money, but that's why we're bringing it up now for the council to decide. If the council does not want to proceed, then we don't proceed, so.
The other thing is too, we've also secured a grant for the sidewalk on the west side right now, all the way down to 10.
for the whole cost of that sidewalk?
Just the construction. Just the construction. So professional services fees are not included, but for the construction of it, yes, we have. Now, the concern there is talking to MnDOT staff, they're planning on just putting that sidewalk adjacent to the actual road. And we were out there with school staff, city staff, myself, police staff. We thought that the best case scenario is if we could, to separate that sidewalk from the edge of that busy corridor.
Such as it is on the other side of the road.
Something
It's already
similar,
done.
yeah. So,
There was conversation, not at the last meeting, I think it was 2 meetings ago, about the future, to what you're saying is, I think it was Wayne, about the idea of using future safe routes and tying in to that southwest corner of town on First, kind of like what you're talking about. I mean, so that it would allow those kids from that part of town to be able to get up and like you say, walk down a sidewalk along 7th and get to the underpass, and just, so.
I mean, you can continue going south. That sidewalk continues south to the entrance of the football field complex. If we put a good crosswalk there, people can get to the dollar store. Because the sidewalk isn't going south after 7th anyway, correct?
I believe it goes all the way down.
All the way to 10th, he said.
10th.
Yeah. Which is across right from South
Oh,
Town.
there's just some,
I think
a lot
mechanically,
of gravel in there.
where you're talking about putting in a underpass under 59, next to the entrance to the school, is logistically difficult because it's going to have to be wheelchair accessible, right?
it would likely have to be all ADA accessible.
So you're going to have a tunnel or a trench that runs from the west side of 59 just about to the school.
Actually, if you go out and look there, it's surprising when you go out and stand there, how far it drops off at this location.
Yeah, but you go halfway between, and you have a much more accessible route. Although when we have a good flood, good hard rain, that'll flood.
Yeah, I mean, we went out there and looked at all of these areas, and when we were out there looking at it, we don't know, again, this is very preliminary. This looked like it is a possibility to get it in at this location. And the main concern again is, as we looked at here initially, that's the obvious spot, just looking at the terrain. But again, all the traffic coming in and out of here, we just thought it'd be beneficial to have these kids from the elementary be able to come here without having to cross that entrance. And looking out there and standing out there and looking at it, it looked like it is a possibility to get it in there. I'm not guaranteeing that we can, but it looked like a possibility. The other concern is anytime you have an underpass like that is drainage. How do you get the water out of there? This looked like it was significantly deeper than here, so hopefully we could allow the water to come out of this underpass, put a culvert in underneath this driveway, and allow it to flow in there and drain into there by gravity. Again, this was all visual, has not been verified.
It's definitely lower. That's why the
Yep,
berm was built.
yep, so.
The one point I agree with Kevin on is, when you have that kind of an underpass, you do create problems there with graffiti and everything else. I've been in some places that have had underpasses, and that's always a problem.
It'll have to be lit at night, it'll have to be,
Cameras?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just think it's throwing good money after bad. We have a sidewalk on the east side already. We make the crossing by the school, which has already been made safer because of the project, but we beacon that, or we light it up somehow with a similar light that's by the plant, so that it just makes people aware that there's something going on there, and I mean,
Have we done any type of a study to look back and see? I don't recall, and I haven't been here nearly as long as many of you, but I don't remember any pedestrian injury accidents in between any of the schools.
I want to say there's been one, but I don't know, but there's never any accidents down by the stoplights either, when we put roundabouts in.
Well, I know, I thought that before I said it, but
Okay, what's the council's wishes? Do we want to have Bob move forward, just see what the cost would be before we say yes or no, or do we just want to drop it here?
it doesn't hurt to find out pricing, but you know it's gonna be extravagant.
Yeah, but we don't, yeah.
But it's grants. It's all grants.
Knowledge is power, we should know everything.
Yeah, let's find out the price.
Second.
I mean, it's good to get it'd be nice to have an underpass to get kids on the other side. I just think it's sidewalks like
Is that a motion and a second?
Second.
Yes.
Okay. Discussion. 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 Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Anything else, Bob?
I don't have anything else. Does anybody have anything else for me this evening?
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
Okay, then we'll go to item number 5, Highway 59, 108, construction update from BNDOT. We have Russ Floberg and Emma Olson here from Region 4 of Great Lakes. And they're just going to give us a recap, what's happened, what's going to happen, and we can ask them questions, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, feel free. Thanks for having us. Mayor Brent asked us to give you an update on construction. Well, as you can see, from the river south to Fifth Avenue, construction's substantially complete. There's a few minor work items that still need to be taken care of, but it won't interfere with traffic, minimally, if anything. From the river going north to Second, all the utilities are in the ground. Concrete work has started, curbs in from the river to First, or to 108 West. Sidewalk is going in. That should be completed by this weekend, so everybody downtown over Labor Day weekend should be able to use it. They're continuing utilities now from Second to Fifth. There has been a construction phasing change. They're going to stop at Fifth Avenue North this year on 59 and move to 108 East. The reason being, all the construction up to Fifth Avenue Northeast needs to be completed to get into the next phase, paved and everything, because we're doing that road half at a time, utilizing a signal system, so we need that area south of Fifth to queue traffic at the signal.
Also, there's just going east, there's a lot more stopping points. So when we go north, they have to basically do all of that at once. If we go east, there's a little bit more of a stopping point. Obviously, at this time of the year, we really have to weigh when winter could potentially come. And so having that sort of a more concrete sort of area where we could stop, and then whatever they take apart this year, they have to be able to put it back together. So we don't want to plow on gravel. We don't want to have to plow around back barricades. And so, yeah, they're just going to kind of go as far as they can until they feel like, nope, we need to stop now because we have to make sure it's covered up before the winter starts.
What's the expected completion date up to Fifth going north on 59?
I think we're looking at mid-October to have it all opened up,
Okay.
and we'll keep going 108 East as long as weather permits.
Will that go one block at a time, or 2 blocks at a time, or how will that go?
So we're going to start out going just up to 2.5 Street,
Okay.
and we'll see where we're at.
The detour goes all the way to 4th,
Yeah.
because technically that's the first stage, is from the roundabout to 4th Street. But they're going to kind of break it in half, again, not wanting to basically bite off more than they can chew when it comes to the work. So wanting to be able to, whatever they take out apart, they want to be able to put it back together before that winter weather arrives, which we all don't know when that's going to happen, so.
Planned work east goes all the way to Ann Lane, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ann
Potential,
Lane, I think.
you might, is there any possibility of finishing that whole stretch this year?
That's very doubtful. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. I'm just throwing it out there.
But yeah,
The north, or this part you're talking about, mid-October, that also includes that little chunk of west at 108?
yeah,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah, the roundabout, we're looking at completion of that in about 4 weeks. So,
So yeah, then we'd still obviously have that section in that north, so the detour will still be on,
yeah.
but yeah, that's the goal, is to get as far as we can up to Fifth, or we get done to Fifth this year, then they would focus then, probably exclusively at that point on 108 East of whatever they have left to do there,
And that work will start next week. It's planned to start next week with removals,
weather permitting.
always.
Any other questions?
I'm curious what your roles are.
Oh, sure.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I'm the project supervisor for MinDOT on this project.
Okay,
And I'm the public affairs coordinator for District 4.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, thank you for, did you have one? Thank you for being here. They're both available each Wednesday at 12 noon at the library for.
We're here every week.
Meetings, so.
Yeah, stop in. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. Let's jump down to item number 10, Pelican Valley Health Center temporary easement request. We have Tyler here. Tyler?
Hello. Thanks, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thanks for having me today. My name's Tyler Elf. I'm the Executive Director for Pelican Valley Senior Living, and I'm here today just on behalf of Pelican Valley and the Board of Directors requesting a temporary easement across what would be city property or the pool property there. We did send over our legal drafted up the easement request, and we sent that over to Lance, and then also sent over what you see is not professionally done. I admit I did this, but we kind of used the GIS system and kind of just showed where that would be. And so basically what we're requesting is starting from the southernmost part of the parcel and 222 feet, excuse me, from there would start the temporary roadway, and then it'd be about 30 feet in width. It would be Class 5 roadway that we would have brought in. It would run across that very northern part of or close to the northern part of the property. And we'd simply use it for access in and out for deliveries, visitors, residents of ours that live with us, family members, and most importantly, EMS services. We have to continue to be able to allow EMS in. We're 24/7 operations, so we have to allow that. And then in addition, this would also be an entryway into the Sanford Clinic parking lot. So they would be able to use that for their guests and their visitors that would come in for the Sanford Clinic. So it would serve a lot of purposes for this roadway. We just, in the big push for it as well is with the construction, with that being, eventually we're going to lose complete access to our driveway. And so we just feel that this is a good way to mitigate any risk for us, any loss of service potentially, anything like that to allow for that. And so no cost to the council, or to the city, that, would be something that Pelican Valley would look at taking care of and putting in place as it's our request. So, really just wanted to just present this and request this easement access for us.
Lance, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, so just the one change on here, it says Village of Pelican Rapids, we just put it as City of Pelican Rapids, and that's a pretty easy fix. There's a couple different places there, since everything else is recorded as the city.
Okay.
We just request that,
Sure.
change it to the city, otherwise Lindsay looked it over, said it looks fine, and it makes sense to do.
And this is needed just because of the construction, right?
Yeah, it's ultimately because of the construction. And like they were kind of mentioning, so you can kind of see that's 4th Street right there, and that is Phase 1. So really this year, from the sounds of it, they may not get to that 4th Street, so we still might have full access this year. We'd still like to get it in this year, and then we don't plan to maintain it over the winter as far as plowing or anything like that. And that way it's ready to go.
They'd make sure to keep one of these accesses open, so So we'd be able to get through here. And most of the time, you still are going to be able to use their access here, but like I said, when they're digging right in front of here, they're going to lose their access at that time. So it's going to be very beneficial to have a second access there.
When the construction's completed, or when you're no longer needing that road, or is it going to be taken up or left there?
We don't have plans at this time. My understanding is that that area was, there maybe isn't planned for that area yet, so we would just work with the city, or work with you as far as, we can certainly take it up, or, pull that Class 5 out unless there's maybe a future need as well. So we are open to that, I guess not specifically.
The temporary, how long, does it say how long it is? How long does the temporary easement last?
Yeah, it does. So it's written in there that it would be for the completion of the Highway 108 construction or December 31st of 2025. So kind of whichever is later would be the end of it, so.
So yeah, so if there was no need, you would get rid of it so we could have flat
Yes.
green
Yep.
space out there.
Yep.
I'll move the approval of temporary access.
I'll second.
Motion second, discussion?
So you guys would maintain it in the winter for plowing and that kind of stuff?
We would not, no.
I mean, even once, when construction shuts down your front and that's your access, you don't,
Highway 108 will be open in the winter. Never once will they have an open road in the winter on the state highway.
okay.
Yeah, and we may put it in this fall still, but if we don't need it, we may not need it till spring, but we will not be plowing it or anything, yeah. Yep.
We can barricade it.
Sure.
So we can access it if
Sure.
we need to.
Any other questions?
Can you talk to the people working on the pool? Because they're going to have to move some stuff there, right?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it is kind of, you can see that's equipment there as well. We have not directly talked to them yet. We've been, I know, yeah, and we would, I believe it's Otter Tail Aggregate, is that who is doing the pool? So we'd like to just work with it, because I think as part of the project, is there some final grading as well?
Correct.
I'm kind of getting this from another individual, but we'd probably hopefully work with them as they're doing final grading to just add that in as well.
Hammers is we've brought it up the last couple of meetings we've had with them, so they're aware that something's
Okay.
Are
happening
they?
there. So.
Thank you. Okay, excellent.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Okay, let's go up to item number 6, Otter Express. We have Kayla Sullivan here with us this evening. This is just an FYI item on their agenda. Kayla?
Yeah. Hi, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for having me, and Lance. I just wanted to talk about this, to me, an awesome service that we're providing. So I'm the Director of Transportation for the Otter Express, which is a public transportation bus system. We service Wilkin, Otter Tail, and Clay counties. And when I say that loosely because we don't really service all of Otter Tail County, hence the reason why we want to come up to Pelican. Also, we're expanding into Battle Lake area and Barnesville in Clay County. So the service is what it is. It's public transportation, meaning anybody in the area can use our service. They just have to call. We're called in demand response public service, meaning you call us, tell us what your appointment is, you want to go to your friend's house, clinic, it doesn't matter where you want to go, you just request the ride through us, we set it up, we go pick you up, we deliver you, and that's really what it is. If you've been to any other city that has public transportation, it is a service for any citizen to use. We get funded by the federal and the state government, so it is your tax dollars at work, so that is therefore the reason anybody can use a service. We have our fleet of buses are all ADA accessible, meaning they all have lifts on it. So anybody in a wheelchair, if you have a walker, anything, whatever your mobility issues are, we can accommodate you. We have strictly standardized training, because we have to comply with MnDOT. So we train our drivers very well. They all know how to secure properly wheelchairs and anything else that is on the bus. That is generally what public transit is. We have been in service for almost 20 years. We mainly service Fergus Falls right now, Perham, Breckenridge, and so that's why we are expanding a little bit to meet the needs of other communities. We also have to track any denials, any rides that people call in and we say no to, so we have to track rides. So this is kind of like a test for your town right now. We don't really know what the demand will be. So when your community members call us and ask for a ride, say after our hours, we have to track that as a no. Then I can show that to MnDOT saying, hey, in the Pelican Rapids area, our demand is this. We need another bus, or we need to expand hours, or whatever the case is. Right now, I'm planning just to start at 2 days a week, just from 9 to 2, to see how that goes up here. And again, we'll track the denials and we'll see how the community responds. We service all of our buses in Fergus and house them in Fergus, so we won't be storing a bus anywhere up here. It'll just be driven from Fergus to Pelican, whatever those 2 days a week are going to be. As far as the start date, we don't have a specific date yet, but we're hoping like within a couple of months. I just have to make sure I have staffing on board. I was waiting and waiting for actually a few years to get new buses. As you all know, the vehicles in America have been backlogged, including buses. So I finally just got new buses from the year 2021. So now we have some extra buses and I can make this expansion happen. So I do, and I apologize, I didn't get this in time, but I can give these to Lance. There's just a little stats on us, what we do right now. And I can give those to you if you want to pass them out. And I can get you any other information you need to, and if you have any questions or comments right now.
Didn't we have this before?
We actually have been up here where we would pick up some people that go to my parent company's day activity centers. I'm not sure if everybody's aware of what those are, but we would have a bus up here just picking up people, like say in a group home, and then bring them to our day activity center. And my parent company still does that, but not on a public transit bus. They have their own bus that does that.
Didn't we have a bus thing in here?
We used to have a city bus that we ran, and then Auto Express kind of, we were out of it, and so they kind of moved in, and were here for a while, and then it just kind of, they weren't here, so, but yeah. So it might be nice to get them back again, for some.
Is there, I don't know, if you said, is there a cost for a person to ride?
Yep, it's $2 for a one-way ride.
Is there a limit of how far you can go?
Right now, we do up to 5 miles outside of city limits.
Okay.
Yep.
So what's an example? What would be like for shopping or
Yep.
visit somebody? What do you get to plan ahead a day or?
Yep, so we suggest riders call in 2 days in advance to get the time that they need. They can call same day if we have the time available and space on the bus, we can get them on the same day. So examples are anything and everything. Lots of medical, clinic, hospital, chiropractor, picking up meds, but also a lot of socialization. I'm going to my friend's house, I'm going to my mom or dad's house. Shopping, a lot of, well, like in Fergus in particular, because we have a Walmart, but a lot of Walmart trips, but a lot of grocery store trips to local grocery stores. It doesn't matter where they go.
Is there a minimum unsupervised age requirement?
Yes, that's a good question. 4 years old is the minimum age. So if it's younger, they have to have an adult with them.
Better than I thought it was going to be.
And 4 years old is really only preschool age kids that we only transport to preschools.
So if someone requests to go further than 5 miles, can they?
No, so that is a denial, so we track that. So if lots of people from here need to go, whatever, 10 miles out or something like that, we have to track all those as a no, indicating that's outside our service limit. Then I track all those, go back to MnDOT, hey, we need to expand and go farther out in this area.
Would that apply in a situation, say, somebody had a doctor's appointment in Fergus Falls and that's where you're housed out of, but they live in Pelican? Did they catch your last bus for the day to Fergus Falls or whatever? No.
Not
It-
right
it's
now,
by
how we're,
mileage.
yep, not right now how it's set up. Yeah,
I just didn't know if it would be in that bubble.
yeah, no,
So
good
you
question.
wouldn't pick somebody up to Pelican for a doctor appointment in Fergus?
No, like, right now, like, this would be, Pelican would be our service area, and we'd go up to 5 miles outside of Pelican. To go to Fergus is farther than that. Not that that can't be an option in the future, though, we have to track the demand and see.
How do you
Before-
plan on advertising
With,
your services?
yep, with the city's help, and I did speak with Lance actually last week. Any newspapers, any Facebook, I will go to radio stations. I don't know what locally is listened right here, but I know like the AM station is pretty popular. Like even 790 they're based out of Fargo, but lots of people listen to that. So I have to just do a lot of research and just trying to get the word out. We have our own Facebook too, that'll be on there, and our own website, which your community will be on there also.
Is 5 miles a MnDOT thing or your guys' policy?
No, that's just our own policy.
I mean, if you went 6, you'd be able to include Earhart, but
Yeah, yes,
just saying.
Too far.
which we could, and but if we get a lot of demand for that too, that Earhart.
Yeah. There might be something to do in Earhart, I don't know.
Pickleball court.
Pickleball courts.
So it's like a $2 Uber with limitations.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
So the bus be stationed here for those hours of service, or would it respond here from Fergus only during those, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would it be here all day?
Good question. Yep,
during those?
it would be here from 9 to 2. So yeah, once it actually starts happening, you know, it might be sitting wherever, somewhere in town, just sitting still, and you're like, what's going on, you know? Well, it's just waiting for a ride. Because especially initially, it might be slow up here until people really get used to it.
What's the ridership where you've got it now, like in Perham and Ferguson to Breckenridge?
And in Perham, I knew somebody was going to ask me that, and then I forgot to bring that today, but in Perham, which has about 1,000 more in population-wise than Pelican does, we previously had 3 buses running up there, and they were busy all the time. Now we're down to 2 up there, and they average about 800 rides a month, and we are there 5 days a week, though. And in
How about in Fergus?
Fergus is, we have about 8 buses running Monday through Friday, and Fergus does about 8,000 rides a month.
How long have you been in Perham?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been in Perham?
In Perham, we've been there just about since the beginning, so almost about 17 years.
I could see it being slow on the takeoff, but
Yeah.
getting popularity as people understood it and trusted it.
Yeah.
Just trying to wrap my head around a 4-year-old coming out and getting on a bus.
Right?
As I'm sitting there and a 4-year-old kid walks
Just
up
to
and...
clarify, that's only for preschool, like we transport preschool kids, that 4 to 5-year-old.
So
That's
when
only
my
for preschool.
grandson gets mad and takes my cell phone and calls you because he's going to grandma, or the other grandma's, that's not okay then?
Well, how old is he?
4.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that probably would not
He's
be
got
okay.
$2.
Yeah, as long as he's got $2.
Any other questions? We thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Very best to you.
Thank you.
Item number 6 is the Bridge Center request discussion, and we talked about this at our last council meeting a month ago, and Jordan
Item number 7.
is here,
You said 6.
excuse me, 7, to refresh our memory and on the request. Jordan, and she has backup.
I do. She said, come back us up. Good evening. We talked last council meeting about a disbursement of city funds that have been set aside for a community center to the Bridge Center as they evolve and finalize their 501c3 status. You asked for some tours of the building as well as a few additional questions. I believe that everything has been answered.
and we are back to ask for that $33,000 disbursement to the Bridge Center with a stipulation that if the project is unsuccessful, dollars will be paid back to the city. And then here are Alex and Stacy if you have more questions or want to hear any testimony from them.
Yeah, we also have Stacy Elemus and also Alex Ullman. Do you have anything to share before we ask questions?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I just did a little, Alex Ullman, good to see you guys. Kurt, sorry you couldn't join us at the tour, but...
I had one of the phone-in questions.
That's true, that's true. I did just a little bit of research this morning, this afternoon, on the 2022 comprehensive plan, and I just wanted to draw your attention to two of the goals that you had listed in there as part of this. The first was Goal 5 under Parks and Trails and Recreation, just to explore development options for a community center, which was listed as a high priority. I would say that our Bridge Center is a viable option for a community center in town that would have limited impact on taxpayers, since we would be a nonprofit entity serving the Pelican Rapids community. Also, another goal is Goal 2 of local food planning included the commercial kitchen feasibility study, which was completed and shows that a commercial kitchen would be useful in Pelican Rapids, and we hope to have that there. Judy Tabbitt and Tammy Nordic from the community of Pelican Rapids are the ones kind of spearheading that part of the Bridge Center, as well as Kate Mudge at West Central Initiative, who's been supporting them throughout it. So I just wanted to draw your attentions to that. I appreciate you guys coming out and looking at the building, and I know Stacy might have some more to add, and we're here to answer any more questions you might have as well.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Yeah, the only thing I would add is maybe Goal 3. That isn't officially in the plan, but it was probably about 2 years ago when the youths came to the city council asking for, with their long-term goal of having a youth center. And in December, we were blessed with the gift of this building, of which there's, some work when you toured it, there's some work to be done inside. So the gift from the city would be extremely helpful in getting us over that hurdle and moving on to the next phases, of which I know, Kevin, you talked about grants, but it is easier to write for grants for planning purposes, and especially for young people being a part of planning for a facility that will serve them and serve the community. There are better odds in getting grants when we can do that. So, yeah, I just thank you for the consideration.
So Danielle, we're clear to use that money for, and how much is in that fund?
When I checked earlier, it was 54,000.
What is the ask today, though? I mean, was it the 30-some thousand?
54,000, no.
33, I believe I heard.
33,000 today.
33 is the ask, but can we just transfer the 50,000 into the, I mean, it's not like we can use it for anything else since it's designated as a community fund or community center fund. That's what we put it there for.
That's what we would use it for.
And that's what it'd be used for.
Well, you've got money right now for some of this work that you want to do, right?
If you want. Yeah, so to date, we've raised $85,000 for the project with just through grant funding and individual donations. Specifically, the funds we're requesting from you, we're planning to put both to mold remediation, which we've raised $18,000 for mold remediation. We got a quote from CNS for $28,000. So $10,000 of that would go to meet that goal so we could do the mold remediation. We're going to do some landscaping and kind work around the building to address the ongoing water issue that is causing the mold before we do the mold remediation, so that would solve that issue. We also just recently received $15,000 from West Central Initiative to hire a project manager for the program, and so some of the funds that you would give to us would go to that that contract, which would be, right now the working plan is that West Central Initiative would hire the person, and we would fund that. But that person's goals would be to move the project forward through fundraising strategy, capital campaign, and just overall management of the project. But yeah, $85,000 to date is what we've raised.
Well, since they're requesting 33, and they've got specific goals or specific uses they want to use that for, I would be in favor of giving them that 33, keeping the remainder, and then when they get to a different point, they can request that. And
I'll second that.
Motion second. Discussion?
Are we
Discussion?
going to put in some language that if it does not happen, I mean, if this community center does not happen, that money comes back to the city?
I
I don't know
can,
if you need that in the motion, or if you need that in the agreement, or whatever. Did we just talk about that before?
yes, there will be an agreement written up that specifies if the project isn't successful, whether it be as from the sale of a building or however they might work it out, that all city dollars will be given back to the city. So a motion to disperse $33,000 from the community center fund to the Bridge Center with the stipulation that if the project is not complete, money is due back to the city.
Do you want to amend it?
I want to redo my motion,
Okay.
right? Which wasn't a motion to begin with. No, I'll move that we grant $33,000. There'll be an agreement written up, and if this project is not successful, then this money comes back. And
I second that.
Okay. Discussion? 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 Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you guys have an idea when that project for the mold would start? Or
Yeah, it's kind of around CNS's schedule. They indicated that late fall throughout the winter is when it would work for them, so we're
It'd be
hoping that
good to
they...
have it done in the fall, so you don't have spring melt.
Yeah.
You bet.
Thank you.
You bet, thanks.
Thank you all.
Item number 8 is Fire Department budget, and that was in your packet. We have Fire Chief Chad Hansen here.
Is there any questions, I guess, is the starting point, since it was in the packet?
Thanks for coming.
Any questions for the chief? Now we're looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
well, maybe we ought to explain what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean,
What page are we on?
that's not responsible.
This
What accounts for the increase of the budget from 281 of last year to 309?
I don't know if you have it in front of you, the actual expense of 2023 was, I think, just shy of 294. Price of insurance increase, repairs, professional services, everything's just kind of gone up. I know in particular, like our 2024, just on insurance, we're going to be shy this year by at least 5,000.
When the Budget Committee looked at this, we don't have it up here. We've got, what do we got? 2024 actual and the 25 budget. Well, the 2023 budget was,
It was 271 was the actual budget, and total expense was just shy of 294.
so we're not, since we're not done with 2024 budget yet, we're really, I mean, that's, our actual, we're only at 151, so we really don't know where we're going to be at the end of this year on that budget. But if we go back and look at 2023, it gives us a pretty good idea of what the expenses and things are, so that's kind of what we based it off of when we sat down and did this budget, is we were looking more at 2023 than we did at this year's, because we don't know where we're at yet.
Correct.
And they're not asking for a lot of equipment or anything like that. They're just doing their basic things. It was actually a pretty, what I would consider kind of a tight budget, so.
I mean, your salaries are up just about 10 grand.
Correct, yes. That's due to more fire calls, basically. I mean, just the hours of coming down.
And salaries have been coming in higher than what was budgeted. But we also talked about lots more medical calls they've been called to assist with ambulance and stuff like that, on ambulance calls.
The actual salaries in 2023 were $42,469, so that's where we came up with a little bit of increase to put to that 47 this year. The other thing I want to note here is this, so Rescue 1 replacement for 13, so in previous budgets, we've been paying off the debt service for the SCBA equipment, and that was $12,165 a year for the last, 10 years, I believe.
Yeah.
So we wanted to keep this number in the budget just to start preparing for that Rescue 1 replacement. So it's not such a huge jump the next budget, just to stay on top of being able to replace equipment and the equipment costs and all that, so.
And another thing the fire department is trying to do is get all their equipment onto a replacement schedule, so that would make budgeting a little bit easier than.
So did you make a motion?
No.
I guess I did in jest. Must be ongoing.
I just, and this has nothing to do with the fire department or any other department, but I know I said it before that with the hit our businesses are taking with this project, I mean, there's a reason I did not want anything to do with the budget committee, and because I think we need to be very mindful of these budgets with the businesses that are getting hit downtown. So I just want to throw that out there.
One of the things in perspective, I guess, like just our turnout gear, I think in the budget, we have $7,500 a year to buy 3 sets. This year, we were only able to buy 2 sets, because at 2 sets, it came in at $6,600.
And that's the other.
It's just the increase.
The other side of the coin is that everything has gone up, everything is more expensive, everything is, I mean, operating any kind of business or department is, but I get worried when I see increases like that, but, yeah.
Can you slide it down to the end there? Yeah, there we go.
I don't know if I need to bring this up now or after this and make another motion, but we did get approved for our DNR grant, which is a matching grant of, we spend $5,000, they match it with another $5,000. I was hoping to use that capital outlay, that $5,000 set aside there for, I think it's capital replacement in there, for that grant. So we can get the other $5,000 from them. And it's to buy turnout gear, replace boots, helmets, buy the extra set of turnout gear that we didn't get in the initial budget. And that capital replacement is in that 2024 budget of that $5,000 to spend in there. We haven't touched it yet, that I believe.
So you're not really, I mean, there's no, if it's already in the budget from 2024, there's nothing to add or nothing to.
No, it's
take
just a
action
different
on.
line item,
Yep.
so.
What's the council's wishes?
I move that we approve that budget.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? 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 Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item number 9 is Street and Parks Report. We have Superintendent Olson here. He's got 2 items. First one is Sharon Park Bathhouse, and the other one is handicap parking.
Yes. Yeah. So we have, in the streets area, we have done some striping, yellow and white. Some of the white we did was some crosswalks that MnDOT didn't do through the project and kind of told us they weren't going to, but we felt that we probably needed some to add them like they were before, just for a little safety. So we did that. Everybody's favorite time of the year is hydrant flushing. I'll mention this a couple more times before September 22nd is the date we're looking at doing it right now. It's a little earlier, but with vacations and people's schedules coming up in the fall, I had to kind of move it that way so we could do that. Parks, they're coming along, they're just fine. Did lose 2 summer staff, so we're down to just 1. I'm hoping to kind of keep him into September, depending on weather and how it goes, but it is kind of nice to have that extra one for doing the trimming and helping out in the park. So that's kind of what I have for a report. It's not a whole lot. They told you about the street project already, and so that the pool is coming along. I believe Lance probably gave you his weekly update on that, but they started pouring slab up there around the pool. Now Aqualogics is back. Looks like they're kind of working in the pool, getting ready to put a finish on, I assume. They did mention like mid-September possibly being complete, but we'll see. They've said many dates over the course of this project, so it'll just be. So there, any questions on anything?
This is all related to pool project, but if they get it complete in September, are they going to fill it up and check it, or are they going to wait until the spring to do that now? Because when I asked about this last time, they figured it would be done by the end of August. Well, now we're at the end of August.
Yep.
It's still not done, and...
Yes. I think the best answer to that is it's yet to be determined. I've had to ask that at our last meeting, and he said the contractor may want to run it to make sure there's no leaks. Is that a great idea for us? No, but that is what they like to get it going. Regardless, they have to get water in it for winterization. So they will put water in it regardless. Whether or not they'll fire everything up or if they'll wait till spring, that's yet to be determined.
Okay.
Because the 1-year warranty, it really doesn't matter for the warranty for what time it is.
No, it really doesn't. So yeah, once they fill it and start it, then our 1-year warranty starts. So it really is not that big of a deal. So.
What was the area of the park that Bob was talking about for the dam?
Ready to move on to that?
Is there a motion to approve Street and Parks report?
Are you done with it?
I am, yes.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion second, discussion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Next.
All right, Sharon Park. So this is what Bob has put together. The area he's talking about delineation is the area kind of where new site 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 are. That's where the river used to be up until they did the river restoration and it cut its own path again. It went back to its original. So now that is all dry area, but they classify it as water or wet, whatever, so they have to delineate it, and then we can add on to our campground. As this looks, you can see by doing that, you can add about 7 sites is what we've got. Go from 11 up to 18, which they would all have power to them, and also hopefully water. We won't run sewer because that would get extremely expensive because we have to obviously have a lift station to pump it up, especially from where 10 through 18 is very low, that area. So, but the yellow is a path, a proposed paved road, so it would still give access to our shelters, the shelter in there, and we would still use number 9, which is now number 10, but, so yeah, I guess, and with this comes the great question of the bathhouse, which we've talked about, and everybody knows the bathhouse is not good. It's horrible. We need to, if we, I believe Jordan is working on a grant to assist us in this, correct?
Well, what we're basically looking for is, we need to put some plans together to show what we would like to do here, get some estimates and things, and then Jordan, it's the same grant that we were granted for the pedestrian bridge over the new rapids, the DNR Outdoor Recreation Grant. So what we want to do is get some plans together, get some estimates together so we can apply for that grant, which is a 1-to-1 grant, so we know if we can pursue something or not. And the question tonight really is, in these plans, do you want a new bathhouse or do you want remodeled what we have? Basically is kind of the question we're asking. In order to develop these plans, we need to know what direction to go.
You know, with this out of date and poor condition of that place, you're not going to save a lot trying to save it. You just aren't. I don't even know if it is possible, making everything ADA in there, and, I mean, heights and widths, they're all screwy in there. I would recommend, personally, looking into a reconstruction of.
So would you use that similar footprint, or would you put it somewhere else?
I don't have a worry in the world about where it is. I wouldn't want it. If I was camping there, that's in a good spot. It's kind of away, except for 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, and 7 are probably the closest. You know, I wouldn't, doesn't need to be in the middle of all the campers. I think a little space is nice.
You would just, if we're going to build a new one, you would demolish this building?
I almost think we would have to in order to have the space. And I know some people are very connected to it, but I think to benefit our campground and the people that use it, it would be in the best interest.
So you're looking for direction of what to do?
We're looking for direction. We need direction whether or not we put this in with the grant or we figure something else out with that bathhouse.
Well, we've got water and sewer there now,
There's water and sewer there now, correct?
so we may as well utilize that
Yes.
and build in the same.
Yep.
I mean, size-wise, is it large enough for what our campground has grown to?
No.
Because there's room there to turn it, you know,
Yep.
and still use the water and sewer.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
increase the size because of our growth
Yes.
with that.
Yep.
Footprint,
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't say the same footprint, I would say the same.
Same area, yeah. Yep. It would all come out. We could utilize water and sewer, but it may turn or do different things.
It would still need to be built to the specs for a.
Storm shelter, yes. Yep. Yep.
So you're looking for a motion?
Looking for a motion with some direction, correct, Lance?
I'll make a motion while exploring grant opportunities for the delineation, campground expansion, if you will, to include a new bathhouse in the same area to the specs that are required.
I'll second that.
Motion second. Discussion?
That's really sad. The rocks.
We could dart them around on the campground and say that's what used to be our bathhouse.
Oh, you guys.
It's
Used
just,
for siding on the.
This is exactly
Yeah, help
what,
me out here.
I've been afraid to bring this up forever.
it is
because
a
of-
cool thing, but its lifespan is completed. I mean, due to growth and.
When was it built? You remember when it was built?
I have no
I
idea.
remember when he was doing it.
I remember when, but
Like,
70s?
I feel like it's been there my
Must have been
whole,
80s.
no, it's been there longer than that.
yeah, it was before.
It's been there my whole life.
Yeah.
You weren't that old.
Well, I'm 55, and I don't remember that not being there.
Right.
What? I'm 55, and I don't remember that not being there.
Yeah, it's been there my entire life. It's always been there.
And the next generation will say the same thing about a new one.
I know.
When that one's getting tore down.
Yeah, but hopefully none of us are still here at that point.
It's likely that will be the case.
Any more discussion? Does that give you enough
Yes,
to go on?
yes.
Okay.
So Mayor, how are you?
Huh?
Are you okay with this? What?
You'll find out when I vote.
We're discussing though, are we?
Yeah, we're still discussing. No,
I didn't say.
it's outlived its purpose, and it needs to be expanded, so what do we do for expansion?
What are rocks?
Do you want the rock?
You could construct a replica over your place.
Move it. Can we move it?
Oof. I don't know that that would move.
It's just sad. I mean, I watched it go up.
Any more discussion?
Just another point on this is that, so we've had multiple calls and a letter from Pelican Valley Senior Living about this as well, just for access to the park. Right now, there's really not great access for like wheelchairs and walkers and those scooters and things coming from Pelican Valley to this. So this plan would include much better access so that facility could use the park a little more and get to these events and things too. That's what's in red here, is just better walkways that connect to the asphalt and to make it more accessible for them as well. So if you hear comments from Pelican Valley, I mean, this is to address that as well, so.
So you're not talking about the bathhouses now?
No, just the park in general. I mean, just when there's events there and things, and just using a beautiful park, they just aren't able to get there as easy as you would now.
These areas in red would help with ADA accessibility for those residents that live there.
Just like a poured pathway or a
Yes.
Yeah, there's no real path or sidewalk really to the bathhouse
ADA.
now, is there?
They can come out here, and it's concrete, but it's really not asphalt, I mean, sorry. But it's not, it's all broken up, so it's gravel, and so they struggle with their scooters or walkers to get through there. So they,
I mean, to go up to the bathhouse, they use the bathhouse. Is there a sidewalk right
yeah,
now?
there's a sidewalk right here, coming
off
but it's
that gravel
not,
down there.
yeah, it's not ideal.
Danielle, would you be so kind as to read the motion?
Mark Raff made the motion, Foster seconded to, while exploring grant opportunities, to look into reconstructing a new bathhouse in the same area that it is now.
Okay. Any more discussion?
We're in discussion.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same? Motion carried.
Perfect.
Okay, next item, handicap.
Next item is, yes, we've had a request to add a handicap space to the parking lot next to the State Farm building, which is that alleyway that goes into the library, round down to the senior center, or down into Veterans Park from West Mill.
So where would
right
this,
in by Wisher's Barber Shop.
You're right across from Wisher's Barber Shop.
where would the spot be, in the parking lot?
It would be in the parking lot.
I thought we used to have one there years ago.
Maybe I got rid of it, I don't know. Now they're requesting another one.
Are they requesting another?
They're requesting one.
Or
So, no,
they
there's
they
not
don't
one
have
there.
one anymore?
So we would add the handicapped into this space. It would be very
Okay,
similar to the
yeah.
one we have out here.
Sure.
With the space and then the entrance, the blue hash to.
So they actually take up 2 parking spots that we have right now.
We will lose
it
it.
into 1 parking spot.
Yeah.
The State Farm is asking for it?
No, residents have asked for it, people that use a pool hall or different places downtown.
You know, it's a shame to lose a parking spot, but it's also a shame if you're handicapped and don't have easy access to your place you're going, so I would be all for that, and I would make a motion to accept that.
I'll second.
Motion second, discussion?
Don't we, I mean, legally, don't we have to have?
We do not have to, there's a certain number of spots you have to have, and then you have to have so many spots, and then you have to have a handicap, but this one's small
Not
enough.
just
No,
overall?
Overall numbers. That's why we, in the liquor store parking lot, lower liquor store, we had just enough spots to put, we needed a handicap, so we put it way in the back, which was absolutely ruthless. I mean, when you look at that, it looks ridiculous, but anyway.
Any more discussion?
Say that again about the liquor store?
When we put the handicap spot in, it was voted to, not voted, but decided to put it towards the back, the handicap spot.
The furthest away point.
Furthest away point, yeah.
Most
Because
difficult.
really, there was no ADA accessibility around there, but we had the number of parking stalls, so we needed to have one handicap spot.
You're talking about the old liquor store, right?
No, the new liquor store, the lower liquor store lot, not the main one.
Oh, okay.
The lower liquor store, sorry, yep.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Perfect, thank you guys.
Thank you very
much.
Hold on, can you go back to that campground picture? So that's obviously that's an old picture, right?
Yeah, this is just, so
Because-
this road would actually probably go out here if we can get done what we want to get done.
Right.
That's
That's
where we
what I
gotta-
was gonna
that's
say,
why we have to-
expanding into the current, where the river used to be.
Yes. That's why we have to get it delineated to figure out what's wetland and what's not, and what can be filled in, so we can actually put some fill in here and put in new lots. So this road would actually be pushed, yeah.
Is that Pelican River wording approximately where the river is currently?
No.
We can, I would say, because there's quite a bit of land here.
I think there's it's even further this way.
I would go up into the corner more.
Yep.
It's gonna be pretty close, yeah.
That's better then.
Think on the-
Thank you, Brian.
Thank
Yeah, go, Sharon.
So the crosswalk markers, where'd they all go?
Well, we had to take them down during construction.
Can we put them back up?
Steve.
I mean, down there is school?
The school's down there.
Okay, one at,
Elementary one, yeah.
but there's places for a lot more now.
Yeah. We can only have them up till October 1st, so I'm waiting. Have you been down there in the evening and seen how light it is with the new streetlights?
I've seen how the roundabout doesn't stop for people.
That's true.
What are we gonna do?
Hardly stops for cars.
It's a nightmare.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so, when this is done, I want that guy that designed that thing to come up here and spend a week.
Item number 12, library report, which is in your packet. Councilman Ballard, do you have anything there?
I don't have anything to add, but I just have a question. Why is that one separate from the other department? I mean, why can't it be in the consent agenda?
I guess I don't know, and
Question.
the
I mean,
thought
it's-
was always that somebody was gonna come and talk about it.
Oh,
And, I mean, somebody used to come up here and talk about it, and so it's always been on its own.
So, the way that got left is that if there is, since the report is in the packet, like the other department,
Nobody comes.
the other department
Yeah.
reports are in the packet. If we have a question, well, it'll be handled just like any of the other departments. If we have a question with the liquor store, we have have Maggie come to the meeting.
Sure, makes sense.
So we'll do the same thing with makes sense to me that
It's a
we're trying
department. I mean, it's a
we're trying to
department
treat
in the city.
everybody equal, that it should be it should be in the consent agenda under the reports.
I agree.
I have a recall on that, but I could be wrong. I think it was because they didn't want to be thought of as staff.
They are staff.
They are staff.
So I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
care what they want to think or not.
I recall.
But I just think it's not a big deal, but I mean.
And did it come up at a library meeting at all? Has it been discussed?
Yes. At the last meeting, it came up as, that Andy used to come up and present.
Right.
Like Danielle said, they would come up and present the report. And all of a sudden that stopped, and we don't really know why it stopped. We've heard rumblings of why it stopped, but we don't know why it
Doesn't
stopped,
really
but it did
matter.
stop.
Doesn't really matter why it stopped.
Correct, but, so it'll
They
be
would-
treated like any other department report, because it's just another department, and if we have a question about the library report, or, library report.
That was the root of my question.
We just bring it up, and Annie will come up to answer those questions.
Right. So I just wanted to see that they were aware of it, and we should just move it in, I'd say then.
Yeah, no, we talked, but that was talked about at the last library board meeting, but I just am bringing it up now.
We can do that, Danielle?
Yeah, I have never been made aware of that, so I guess I didn't know
Okay,
that.
she can do it next.
No, that was
Okay.
all decided at the last board meeting, or discussed at the last board meeting. I don't know if anything was actually decided.
Oh, okay. And I guess,
When I saw that tonight, why isn't it included in the consent agenda? Because
the thought always is that even if it is in the consent agenda, they will still attend the meeting in case you guys have questions.
Right, so if we have a question of Maggie, we would bring that up to Lance, so that Lance would have her come to the,
Well, the thought always was is hers is on here, she would be here.
So you get an answer right away.
It worked.
but that's not,
But that's why Todd was here tonight, in case you had questions on his report, then he was here to answer your questions. And Brian always gives
If
us a
we're going to
report.
require one department head to be here, or expect one department head to be here per meeting, then they should all be sitting there
Yeah.
waiting for.
Treat them all the same.
Yeah, one way or the other.
I'm here every meeting.
Yep, good job. I have no questions for you at all.
Oh,
So what did we decide?
It'll be in the consent agenda
Okay,
rather
okay,
than
okay.
separate.
Item number 13, resolution 2024-11, resolution granting, convening, and quitclaiming real property, which was in your packet. Lance?
Okay, so this is what we talked about last meeting, to reconvey these 3 lots on the southwest that were designated for stormwater retention. This is the resolution needed, and I'll fill out a form that we send to the state, and it gets reconveyed to the state, and then the county gets it, and then we can buy it back from the county, and then at that time, we can hopefully parcel out 2 or 3 lots there where people could build houses. So, and that's why we needed the delineation there too, to figure out where the wetland is, and that way we can plot out those parcels a little better as to how we can use them and that. So this is just the first starting process to get it sent into the state and get the ball rolling on this property, so.
I move to approve resolution 2024-11.
I'll second.
Motion second, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Item number 15, administrator report.
Okay, since the last meeting, worked with the clerk and mayor to get the agenda and prep for the meeting, attended 59 one-way construction meetings and open houses, attended an EDC meeting, attended a department head meeting, took a tour of the Congregational Church Building, which is the future site of the Bridge Center, attended the second Otter Tail County Long Range Transportation Plan Advisory Committee meeting in Otter Tail, met with MCMA members for a monthly Connect meeting, continued to work with the PFA to finalize the funding for the 10859 project. I've met weekly with the library director and have been in contact with the League of Minnesota Cities Collaboration Services for help with the library issues. Attended an ordinance committee meeting and an Otter Tail County Housing convening meeting. Met with MnDOT, West Central Initiative, Apex Engineering, and the school about possible pedestrian underpass, which would cross Highway 59 between the school buildings. Attended multiple budget meetings, met with Jonah from the Otter Tail Soil and Water Conservation District and Steve Hofstad from the Board of Water and Soil Resources about the city property and wetlands. Was interviewed by the federal IRS agents who are investigating the Feeding Our Future fraud case in Minnesota. Chief Quaintance and I met with Mill Pond Department representatives about some issues at the Mill Pond and attended an Otter Tail County work session today discussing the opioid settlement and cannabis ordinance. Any questions?
What's fraud about? I didn't get that.
So they're investigating that whole Feeding Our Future fraud where some people were claiming to pass out all these meals during COVID. It was that COVID money. And there was 2 sites in Pelican that were actually referenced, that someone claimed that
that they served all these meals, so that they were just they were in town investigating that, so they.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 16, Mayor's Report. There's several of them here, just like Lance's, because it's been a month since we met. Attended 4 different Complete Streets meetings here at City Hall, also facilitated 4 Complete Streets public meetings. Attended the Pelican Lakes Annual Meeting at Dunn Town Hall on August 10th. Toured the Bridge Center on August 12th, as all you have in the past. Spoke at the DNR seminar at Rock Rapids. They did a bus tour through Pelican Rapids. They were looking at different dam removals, rock restoration project for an ecological study that they were doing with different people throughout the state of Minnesota. Attended City of Pelican Rapids Ordinance Meeting. Attended the Otter Tail County Housing Convening Zoom meeting here at City Hall. Attended Pelican Rapids Fire Department budget meeting and library meeting, and also a general meeting with Councilman Foster. Attended West Central Initiative EDA meeting at EDA headquarters in Fergus Falls with George Grossman and Alex Ullman. Attended a Highway 59 pedestrian crossing meeting. Met with Administrator Royson to plan the agenda for this afternoon, and also met today with different people throughout Otter Tail County regarding the opium settlement funds update in the cannabis ordinance meeting. Any questions?
Is that a city cannabis ordinance or a county?
This is the county, but there were city people invited.
What is the county leaning towards?
Yeah.
So they've used the template that the Office of Cannabis Management has sent out, and you're required to allow so many per population and things like that, so it's all in that ordinance. We'll still have to decide whether we want to do our own ordinance or fall under the counties. The big question right now is, so there's going to be some sales tax involved with it, like a 10%, which will go to the state, 80% will stay at the state, the 20% will be sent back. The big question is, if we just fall under what the county is doing, will that money go to the county, or will it actually come back to us? If that's the case, we'll definitely want to look into our own ordinance and be the administrator of this ordinance and things, so the money comes back to the city. If that doesn't matter, we may look at just being under the Otter Tail County one. So it's still a question mark whether we'll do our own ordinance or not. So if we do our own ordinance, we need to allow at least, if there's applications, we need to allow at least one dispensary if they apply. So if we fall under the county, we can, there's opportunity there where the county would have to, according to the population, they would need to, I think it's 6 that they need to allow. So if there's already 6 in the county, someone applies in Pelican, technically, they could probably deny that because they have as many as needed for that population. So those are the kind of the differences there.
But if there's 4 in the county and 2 of them want to land in Pelican and they have to issue 2 more, we could have 2 instead of 1.
Right.
Right.
So there's a double-edged sword there.
So is there any ordinance or any that the county is working on concerning like the CBD, like our liquor store with the CBD beverages?
So that's a whole different thing, and there's still some confusion there, but right now, there's no limit on who can sell that. I mean, there could be however many in a town.
Grocery store can sell it if they want.
And that's all, basically, you have to go through the state to get the license to do that.
That's that's almost separate issues of cannabis and CBD.
Yep.
There'll be a public meeting the end of October, first part of November on all this, so.
So and I'm neither here nor there really, but if the city were to decide to craft their own ordinance, would it have to follow the counties? I mean, and it couldn't be more strict than the county?
We can be more strict, but can't be more lenient. We can be more strict.
There are a few other cities that are doing their own thing, and there can be, they're including like the zoning things as well, to kind of restrict more of where they can and can't be, I guess, but. To me, in the county one, it spells out specifically how many feet you can't be so many feet from a school, so many feet from daycare and all that kind of stuff. And our zoning ordinance takes care, I mean, if it's retail, it can only be in the commercial, so that kind of restricts it right there. So I don't know what else we would add, but.
Okay.
Still a lot more questions than answers on that cannabis deal.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mayor.
Seeing no more business, motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Meeting adjourned. There's so many questions that they have no answer for.
Well, that was so much cart before the horse, everything we went on.